You're watching another great interview on Audio Inc. Radio. What's going on? It's Anne Erickson from Audio Inc. Radio. If you're new here, welcome. It's great to have you. And please subscribe. Also, remember to give this video a thumbs up. I'm always really excited when I get to talk with another woman in rock and metal. And today we have Mixi from Stitched Up Heart. They have a new record out called Darkness. Let's get inked.
Hey, it's Mixi from Stitched Up Heart, and you're hanging out with Anne Erickson at Audio Inc. Radio.
What's up? It's Anne Erickson from Audio Inc. Radio, and it's great to be here with Mixi from Stitched Up Heart. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good. I hear you're at your dad's right now, you mentioned, before I started recording.
Yeah, it's been nice. I mean, I barely ever get to see them. They're in Florida, and we live in California, so obviously in all the pandemic, it was like kind of terrifying to fly and go see them, but I got tested when I got here. I tested myself before I left. I wore a hazmat suit on the airplane. But yeah, it's been nice to see them, and I leave back to California, back to work on Sunday.
Aw, that's so nice. Well, also nice is that you guys have a new record out, Darkness, which is a great set. What was it like releasing this kind of when the whole COVID thing was breaking?
You know, we luckily we did this really unique kind of rollout for the album where we had done like a waterfall release where every song would be released like a new song every month up until March 13th when the whole album was out, which was basically only like 2 or 3 more songs. Luckily, we did it this way because literally the same exact day we released the album, our tour with Sebastian Bach got postponed. That was supposed to start March 24th. And you know, when a band releases an album, we're supposed to go and tour off of it. We had like 10 festivals and all this stuff planned. So obviously it's a little bit of a wrench in the gears. Everything had started finally gaining momentum and then everything shut down. So ironically, the album title is Darkness, and it's a lot about introspective and stuff that's going on inside of us. And I think there's a lot of lyrical content that we can all relate to with what's going on. And it was almost like the perfect, anthem for what's happening. And, you know, I don't know how it would have been if we were able to tour off it. I'm sure there would be a few more album sales, but we were set up pretty good on the release for our sophomore album, and I think everybody's pretty happy before all this happened anyway, so nobody's mad at us right now, which is okay.
Your single Lost features Sully, so tell me a little about your friendship with him, the band's friendship with Sully, and how that song came about.
Yeah, that's my alarm. Sorry. Sully, I met him a few years back. We got put together to collaborate on some writing and see what would happen. And we just automatically clicked. It was just one of those like relationships where you immediately like feel like you've known the person for your whole life. And so we just got along really well and ended up being friends and keeping in touch over the last couple of years. And when the album, when we started seriously writing, management actually asked me if I would ask him if he wanted to sing on something, and I was like, okay, I'll ask. And so I asked him hesitantly, and he was totally supportive of it. He was like, yeah, let's just make sure we got the right song and it works, and you know, let's just, it had to be the right song. So we went back and forth over doing a cover, yada yada, which I didn't want to do a cover. I really wanted it to be an original song. And finally, when the album was completely done, I was listening to Lost, and I realized there's an instrumental part that's kind of heavier breakdown kind of thing that would sound really cool with the lyric, and like his voice would be great in this spot. So I threw it at everyone and they all agreed on it. And so finally, another couple weeks go by, Sully asked me to fly to Nashville because they were moving the Godsmack studio from Massachusetts down to Nashville so that bands could record there. And so I flew over there, and he didn't want to just email his voice. It was just kind of like not as sentimental, you know? So last minute. We didn't get the studio set up in time. Ended up at somebody else's studio last minute. He tracked his vocals, and on the way back, he was like, "So who's gonna sing my parts?" And I'm like, "Well, the guys in the band can do it, or like if we're on tour with somebody, maybe they'd want to come up and sing, or preferably you." And then we ended up on tour, and so that kind of just all led into one thing leads to another, and that's how that happened.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, what is up, by the way, with all the covers from bands? I mean, I feel like every day there's a new cover being released, you know?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I love songs. Like, it's hard to redo something like the way that it was done, and it loses all of its like originality. I mean, and it's just like movies recreate the stories like that were done already, and it's very rare. That's why I like movies with The Rock, because most of the movies he does are original scripts, like, so like they weren't redone. But like Skyscraper, and I don't want to do, I'm not a big fan of doing covers. I will do them here and there if asked to, but I don't know. I think that it's just, hey, this song worked. Let's do it again. you know.
Right. Well, you mentioned that tour with Sebastian Bach. It's really cool that he handpicked you guys to open on that tour. What was
Yeah,
that like, finding out that Sebastian Bach wanted you guys to open for them?
it was crazy because we were trying to figure out. We were actually going to try to get on a different tour, and that came out of the blue. We were negotiating on a different tour, and it came out of the blue, and we were just like, no, like, like, really, is this real? Obviously he was going to do the whole entire this is the tour that got postponed to the fall, and we'll see what happens with that, because I don't even think they'll Canada will let Americans in. I don't know what's going to go on
Not right
now, so
now, yeah.
we're still kind of playing that by ear as well as everybody else is. But so yeah, I the first album of Skid Row, they planned on doing the whole first album in its entirety, and I love every song on that record, and it's just to see that stuff live, I'm still like, come on, please happen, so it will be pretty nostalgic and cool.
Yeah, have you guys played any shows this summer? I know you had some stuff scheduled, but I don't know if it happened.
So we were supposed to play Sturgis, but a couple of the bands that we were on the same bill that day decided that it wasn't really safe for them. We had been like on the fence about it. We have one of our crew members that we need to have there also has some heart issues, and some conditions that would be very, we didn't want to put him in harm's way. And I had like fans that planned on bringing their entire families to Sturgis. Like, you know, I just I didn't feel right about it. And for us, like, I'm healthy as a horse. I'm not worried about myself, but I do take everybody into consideration that might be going, they were going to just drive out. Who cares what happens, and knowing that they would put themselves at risk, just for the show, I just didn't want it to hurt anyone. So we decided unanimously that it wasn't the best choice and it wasn't worth it. Even though I wanted to play Sturgis for so long, like, it's such a cool event. I ride motorcycles too, so like I was super stoked, but it was just a decision we had to make to keep everyone safe.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. The fall tour with Sebastian Bach, you said that's kind of still on for now, but you're kind of playing it by ear.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, it's still a go. And I'm sure that if anything, it just depends on, like, half of the shows are in Canada.
Wow,
How are we
yeah.
supposed to get there? And you can't just take half of the tour away. So, we're all just kind of taking it a day at a time and seeing what happens. And I'm sure that even if it got moved, it would still happen. But it just depends on how. I mean, I didn't think in March that we would be going into September still in quarantine.
Right. I don't think anyone did. It's so crazy.
No,
Yeah, I wondered if maybe musicians are exempt from the whole travel ban thing, but I don't think they are.
I don't know, but then you're also looking at certain states. Every state has different laws and how many people you can have at a show. Like South
Right. That's true.
Dakota, yeah, for Sturgis in South Dakota, they didn't have a rule about the shows because their numbers were super low and they weren't as concerned about it. But um, if on the way out there, there's certain states that just you can only have like 50 people in a gathering, and like, what are you
Right.
going to fill like a thousand people at each of these shows? So how are you supposed to do that? Get a bigger venue? I don't know. So
Right. Yeah.
it it's all like it's all so up in the air.
Has there been anything positive you think to come out of coronavirus from an artistic, standpoint?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously we're writing, even though we just released a record, so we might as well start writing. That's what musicians do. I think that it's a blessing in disguise in some ways, as we've found other forms of survival as artists without being on tour. Some of the bands I know survive off of being on tour. I've been able to I've been conditioned to be able to survive in between tours and stuff because I've been getting so used to it over the last 10 years of touring. You don't know when you're going to have a tour. You don't know, stuff pops up out of nowhere sometimes, like Sebastian Bach. And so we found other forms of connecting with our fans, and like Twitch, for example. We've been streaming every single day. We have like a talk show kind of thing that we do. Every band member has a different show, and it's kept us connected. It's given us more of a chance to really like get to know people that like really support us, and it's made another form of us being able to survive and pay our bills and all that stuff between tours. By the time everything opens back up, we'll have grown more of a strong foundation with our fans, and we'll have another source of income that we're creating through Twitch and streaming and stuff like that online.
Wow. Well, I also hear that you're an animal lover, of course. And tell me about your horse.
I don't actually have any horses that I can claim as mine just yet. Right now I'm volunteering. I was volunteering with Big Heart Ranch in Malibu, but we bought a house in the pandemic somehow. And I moved out to Riverside County, California. It's like an hour away from the city. And I found a horse race, retired horse foundation. So it's the California Equine Retirement Foundation. There's like 40 horses. They're all thoroughbreds. They used to be race horses, and it's like their sanctuary now. So I just go help them and help her feed them. I mean, it's one woman and 3 volunteers and 30 acres of land, and she just needs a lot of help. So I just help them feed them and stuff. I felt bad going on vacation to see my dad for like the last couple of weeks, because I was like, I take the late night feed, and top all their food off and water and brush them and stuff. But and I also have been able to foster a lot more kittens. I foster bottle baby kittens. I have 3 right now at the house. They're all weans, and they're just hanging out with the roommate and guitar player for now. So I'm gonna probably keep one. But yeah, I usually do. I've had a couple litters so far, so I've been able to help a lot more in the animals since all of this has happened as well.
And are you vegetarian?
I think I call it like a liberal vegetarian, because a pescatarian, because I love sushi. But I strive to not eat meat as much as possible. Every once in a while, my body, like, I feel like it needs it. And when you crave something and you kind of feel like you need it to have some sort of, you know, protein in your diet, every
Right.
once in a while, I'll be like, all right, a chicken Caesar salad instead of just a Caesar salad. But I try not to, because I do not really like the way that the meat industry treats the animals. And that's really ultimately where that is.
Okay. I'm a pescatarian, or pescatarian, so I totally get it. Sometimes I wish I could just go full vegetarian, but it's like what you said, after a while,
Sushi.
I'm like, I really need fish.
Yeah, I actually went fishing with my dad. I didn't fish, but they were like stabbing the shrimp. And I'm like, does the shrimp have feelings? And then they're like catching these 2 little fish that they were going to use to catch bigger fish. And the poor little thing's just like being tortured. And I'm just like, oh.
I know, I
But
don't want to think about that.
yeah.
You're obviously the lead singer of a band, of a hard rock metal type band, and I'm wondering, like, what's your experience been as a woman in the industry? Do you feel like, you've been treated pretty equal to the guys in your band when you guys are touring, or is it all over the board?
Yeah, I've had a little different kind of, it's hard to explain where I stand on it because it's like, I wouldn't know what it would be like to be a guy, but I do think that there's a lot of work that needs to be done for in the rock community for females. There's a lot of growth that's happened, but just like everything in the world, there's a lot of growth, but still a lot of work that needs to be done. And there's definitely like more judgment, I feel like, for women. If it's a bunch of guys in the band, they go up, they play the show, there isn't so much critique, and like you don't have to prove yourself as much, I feel like, when you're male. I do think that the female vocal has a different sound than the male vocal. So over rock music, it can sometimes sound more poppy and sometimes deter the listener. But also there's people that like the female vocal over the male vocal because the male is always going to sound stronger and harder because that's the voice that they have. But I do feel like being a woman, you do capture a little more attention. But there's that attention also comes with a lot more judgment and critique, I think, as well.
What do you think about the term female fronted? Because some people are like, oh, I hate that term, but
I mean, yeah, I get that. I use it as well because I mean it's the easiest way to kind of explain.
I do
It
too. Yeah.
it's like, yeah, we're a female fronted rock band. I explain it to anybody that I'm talking about, other girls and other bands, like to my dad or something. I'm like, it's another female fronted rock band friend of mine, and then he understands. It doesn't bother me. It takes a lot to really like upset me, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I still use it because it's like a descriptor. It's like it's a band and there is a female
There's
in
a chick
front
in the
of
front.
the band. It
There,
is,
yeah. I mean, yeah, it is like, yeah.
Right. So tell me about the new music that you're working on.
So far, we've done, Merritt has written 7 instrumental tracks. I haven't tracked all the vocals on them all yet because we've been so busy with the whole Twitch streaming stuff. Um, I'm sure that a lot of the lyrics are coming out somewhat, and I sing from the present moment and what's happening. And there's going to be, I think, a lot of the new music that's coming out is going to have the elements of what we're all going through in it. Um, so I think there's just going to be, I mean, in this, there's going to be a lot of that. But, and then there's a couple other things in the work with some other producers that we've been collaborating with and some other artists as well. I love the whole like collaboration aspect of things. I really like working with other singers, especially on stuff. I think it adds another dynamic, especially a male vocal with a female vocal. I really like the uh, contrast, personally, but yeah, so we're working on some collaborations and stuff as well as just writing some new stuff and getting started a little early for the next record.
Right. Do you think we might get a new track before the end of the year?
That's the plan.
Okay.
And maybe a new music video, perhaps.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, Mixi,
Okay.
it's been really awesome like hanging out with you. And is there anything else you want to add?
No, just thanks for taking the time with me as well, and have had a good time chatting.
Me too. Great. Well, we look forward to that new music.
Thanks.